O Diyos aming Ama, ang lahat ng nilalang ay marapat na sumamba sa iyo. Higit sa iyong mga biyaya, sinasamba ka namin dahil ikaw ay ikaw. Lumalapit kami sa iyo, dakilang tagapaglikha, nagsusumamo at humihingi ng kapatawaran. Kami ay nagkulang at nagkasala. Patawarin mo kami sa katigasan ng aming mga puso. Turuan mo kami at dalhin sa inyong kalooban. Tingnan mo kami ng may awa at kahabagan. Hilumin mo po ang aming bayan, ang aming mga mahal sa buhay, kaibigan, kapitbahay, karatig-bayan, ganon din ang aming mga kaaway sa pandemyang kinahaharap namin sa COVID-19. Isama niyo na rin ang mga may sakit sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Panginoon, balutin mo kami ng inyong kaluwalhatian. Itago mo kami sa lilim ng inyong mga pakpak laban sa anumang kapahamakan o wala sa oras na kamatayan. Kristo, ang tinapay ng buhay, alalahanin niyo po ang mga namumuno sa aming bansa, ang mga ilaw at haligi ng bawat tahanan, at mga kawani na nagtatanggol sa aming seguridad at mga frontliners. Batid mo, Panginoon, ang mga dinaraanan at bawat ganap sa aming buhay. Espiritong Banal, aming tanggulan at gabay, imulat ang aming mga mata at ipakita si Jesus ang Panginoon at tagapagligtas, ang nag-iisang katotohanan at tanging daan tungo sa Ama. Wala nang iba. Purihin ka, O aming Diyos. Ang presensya mo ay tunay na biyaya ng aming buhay. Ito ang aming samot panalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus, Kordero ng Diyos na nag-aalis ng kasalanan ng mundo. Amen.
Reaching out to Filipinos worldwide, the now of digital entertainment with studios in Manila, Bacolod, Hong Kong, and Los Angeles, California. This is V81 Radio Worldwide.
V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Samahan na natin si Rachele Bonus dito sa KPI, Kaunlaran at Pagbabago para sa inyo. Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
And hello, everybody. Good afternoon to all our followers, the followers of V81 here in the Philippines. And good morning to those in other parts of the world, such as California, where we have our remote server. And some shows are also airing from California. We have followers from Dubai, from Taiwan. Good afternoon na rin sa ating mga taga-Taiwan na mga kababayan. So, as we have always said, here in KPI, ang goal natin is to be able to spread the good works that's happening around us, na meron tayong pag-asa para hindi naman puro complain or nega or bashing or ranting ang ginagawa natin sa social media because a lot of the projects na nangyayari na ginagawa ng ating mga LGUs at national government, minsan dahil sa dami natin ginagawa or there's just information overload, hindi natin nalalaman na may magagandang proyekto. Like, before, naging guest natin si Executive Director ng CHED, Commission on Higher Education, Unifast Executive Director na si Attorney Ryan Esteves. And we have scholarships pala so that people can really continue their education sa kolehiyo. And then we also had si Director Jerry 𝗲𝗲𝗰𝗵𝗵𝗰 ng DTI who talked about yung pag-reach out nila at the height of pandemic, pag-reach out ng DTI sa mga barangay to encourage them to get into business. And even si Mr. Frank Gonzaga from DTI Small Business Corporation, kung paano tinutulungan ng DTI magkaroon ng pondo ulit na pwedeng humiram without collateral at si Small Business Corporation ang magre-release nun, which is an attached agency of the DTI. So, we've had several guests from DTI and then now, dahil nga from the pandemic, nakita natin na talagang nag-increase yung ating pag-order online. Kasi nga wala naman tayong choice dahil lahat tayo, we were quarantined. Bawal lumabas nga, di ba? Bawal lumabas ng classroom. So, kailangan mag-order tayo sa online, from groceries, tapos ang dami ng naging online business entrepreneurs, naging online entrepreneurs. They're selling from baked sushi to cookies, everything that you can think of, everything that you can crave. So, you are craving. So, ngayon, ang guest natin is someone who can talk about the plans and what's going on in the e-commerce roadmap of DTI to ensure that we have a safe environment to do our transactions online. Kasi before, medyo marami pang Pinoy na syempre nakakakaba gumawa ng transactions online, di ba? Because you don't know who you're dealing with. Paano kung hindi sila mag-deliver? Ang maganda sa DTI, they're doing their best to communicate to how they're doing, what they're doing for us. In fact, makikita natin yung first slide natin, yung first picture, makikita natin na meron na silang YouTube channel. Ayan po ang ating guest, si Assistant Secretary Jean Pacheco. She is the one leading the e-commerce initiative and kung paano pa ito mas may improve ng DTI. There is a pending amendment on the current DTI Internet Act. So, in the meantime, tingnan natin kung paano nyo ma-access and makakapagtanong sa DTI through their YouTube show. Na ang tawag ay, napaka-appropriate, Tara Trade Tayo. We'll show a clip and you'll see how very relatable, very straightforward, and very simple in the way they answer the questions. So let's show the short clip.
Nagdaan po yung Valentine's Day. At kami po ay maraming natanggap na email. Nagko-complain po kasi marami po hindi natanggap ang kanilang mga bulaklak. Yung isa po ay 5,000 ang binayaran, tapos single stem flower. Yung isa naman daw ho, walang teddy bear. At yung iba naman po, hindi naman ho talaga daw yun ang in-order. Yung iba, hindi talaga dumating. So, ang masasabi ko lang ho sa mga nag-complain, we know who you are, and we have already transmitted it to the Fair Trade Enforcement Bureau to take action, no? Doon po sa inyong complaint. Pero sa mga gusto pong may mga consumer complaints po kayo, no? Please do not hesitate to call or to email DTI, consumercare@dti.gov.ph, at makakaasa kayong sasagutin namin yan. So I have to also inform you that meron kasi yung JMC na sinainan ng DTI DOLE na dapat sundin ng mga kumpanya. At kung ang kumpanya ay hindi sumusunod, pwede po ninyong isumbong sa local government unit. Pero pwede rin ho kami dito sa DTI kasi no wrong door policy ho kami. As I have mentioned, consumercare@dti.gov.ph lang po ang inyong email. At makakaasa ho kayo na paiimbestigahan po natin yan. Ang pinakapangatlo po, business name registration. Lagi pong maraming nagtatanong tungkol ho sa business name. Ngayon po, about cancellation. Ang marami pong nagtatanong kung pwede daw hong malipat ang business name. Ito po ay non-transferable kasi po sole proprietor po. So kung ang sole proprietor po ay kinuha na ni Lord, automatic po yan ay cancellation of business po yan. Pero meron hong mga iba, yung mga anak, na inire-report nila na kailangan ho, pwede bang ilipat sa kanila yung pangalan ng business. So, ang sagot ho namin dyan, hindi ho talaga yan pwedeng ilipat. Ang gagawin ho natin, ika-cancel at abangan na po, bigla na po din sila pwede silang mag-apply nung parehong business name, pero under po ng kanilang pangalan.
Tanong nila yung dito sa pagre-rehistro ng business. Kasi sir, alam natin na kayo yung chair ng Ease of Doing Business Council and alam natin na marami ding effort. Sir, pwede bang masabihan natin yung mga tao tungkol sa kahalagahan ng registering our businesses at saka yung ginagawa ng DTI, sir, at ng ARTA?
And there, as you see, she is so energetic and she's always been like that. Sa lahat ng mga projects na ginagawa ni ASEC Jean ay talagang you can be assured that it delivers. She is one. She also was the lead when we were doing the ease of doing business. And then after that, tumaas naman ang ating rango sa ease of doing business aspect. But of course, it was a teamwork with all the other national agencies. Now, I'd like to attest to that, yung sinabi na sinasagot ng fair trade pag nag-complain ho kayo sa kanila. Because ako, na-experience ko na at the height of the pandemic, I had to complain about Panasonic because they weren't delivering the replacement of my refrigerator, which was broken, and I couldn't store my items. And then they did get in touch with Panasonic and sort of mediated so that it could be delivered. So that's so true. So aside from being able to do everything online, even the complaints already, we will see sa second picture natin na papakita where we are in terms of online transactions sa e-commerce. Makikita natin na 70% ng mga tao ay online shoppers na and the age range is mga 18 to 30. Kasi actually, pag narinig niyo yung mga Gen Xers or even more like the baby boomers, inuutusan nila yung kanilang mga millennial na anak na mag-order. So sila yung taga-order and then more are women. And that's really normal kasi mas shoppingera naman talaga ang mga babae. Tapos, bakit natin ito ginagawa? Sa next slide, obviously, ito nga rin yung pinangangalagaan ng DTI because it's more convenient. Siyempre, dahil nga quarantine, hindi tayo pwedeng lumabas. At usually, if you go to the marketplaces, online marketplaces like Shopee, Lazada, or wherever, there are better prices and deals. Meron sila mga sale, depending on the season. And then, of course, yung availability, nandyan din, and then you can see. Now, the next one, we will see that ang ginawa ni DTI, because nga talagang they have foreseen this. Back in 2000, there was already a Republic Act or isang batas para sa e-commerce. Ngayon, ginagawa nila, they are amending it. They are constantly meeting about it with stakeholders kung paano to maging mas madali. Kasi madali in the sense na makikita natin sa next na in terms of speed, dapat mag-deliver sa atin kaagad, yung transaction mabilis, pero maliban sa mabilis, madali din in terms of security. It's an easy transaction and we have that peace of mind. And of course, the structure, kung paano to mangyayari. And with that, makikita natin na kanina nakita na natin from the YouTube clip that ASEC Jean takes care of this e-commerce. In fact, there are 100,000 according to their e-commerce roadmap, ay meron ng 100,000 MSMEs online na gumagawa ng kanilang negosyo. At 40 to 50% of our internet users. By the way, mga 70 million ang internet users here in the country. And mga 50% of that, which is about 35 million, siguro mostly nasa Metro Manila yan. Because more than, parang almost 50% of our population are in NCR naman eh. And of course, they have to make sure na hindi tayo naluloko pag gumagawa tayo ng transaksyon sa internet. Pag bumibili man tayo or nagbebenta. So, from government to government, yan yung G2G, meron ding government to business, which is G2B, at government to consumer, the G2C. Hindi ko alam ho ang ibig sabihin ng GTE. Kaya tatawagin na natin ang ating walang kapagod-pagod na Assistant Secretary ng DTI who takes care of a lot of exciting, sabi ko nga sa kanya kanina, basta exciting na project. Talagang natataon na napupunta sa kanya. Just like this e-commerce. Just when it really ramped up, now, she is also taking care of it. At siya ang star host ng DTI YouTube show ng tawag ay Tara Trade Tayo, which airs every Friday at 6:30. So, ako kasi I follow different YouTube shows kasi nga, there's not enough time to read everything. So, while I'm doing my household chores or while I'm driving, ayan, nakikinig ako sa DTI. Last week, kasama rin natin si Salves. Salves naman is Saturdays at 8 p.m. tonight. Pag Friday night, it's 6:30 DTI, Tara Trade Tayo, so we know what's going on. And tawagin na natin ang host ng DTI, Tara Trade Tayo, YouTube show, / siya ay actually Assistant Secretary ng DTI, taking care of so many exciting projects, Miss Jean Pacheco.
Hi, Rach! I miss you!
Yes, I miss that energy talaga.
Oh my God! I've never been introduced so warmly and so personal. Oh my God! I miss working and thank you very much. Ang sipag-sipag mo naman.
Ay nako, siya ho talaga yung masipag. Like, we can inject a lunch meeting in between a TWG session and then kung tingin nyo mabilis ako magsalita, mas mabilis pa siya magsalita just to cover everything but clearly. Nakita niyo naman how amiable she is. And natatawa talaga ako. Meron pag hindi, talagang relatable yung show. Pag kinuha na ni Lord, yung business name mo na, hindi transferable. At yung mga hindi napadala ng teddy bear.
Oo, totoo yun I mean,
Ang mahal.
these are true and thank you so much for plugging our new baby.
Yes.
Trade. But yeah, that's it. No, we really want parang mabilis lapitan lang kasi YouTube, no, when people call, it's so easy, social media. Unlike during our time, before, alam mo ba yun ako, ngayon ibang-iba na, no? I mean, by virtue of your mobile, you complain, now YouTube, you just tell us what to do and we can hopefully answer. But yan. Thank you very much for that wonderful prelude. You about the e-commerce roadmap and everything. You even gave a summary of what the e-commerce landscape is all about. But thank you, thank you.
And as I've said a while ago, di ba ho, napaka-contagious ng energy niya. Dapat talaga maging diva ka din. So, talagang napakasaya makipag-meeting sa kanya. So, when we talk about e-commerce, going to your area of expertise now, marami ho siyang hats, hindi lang yan ang expertise niya. Yung e-commerce, ano ba yung sakop ng e-commerce, particularly with how DTI is amending the existing act?
Right.
No.
After the ease of doing business, siyempre, alam mo yung work natin doon, right? So
Yes.
after that, siyempre, ito na yung bagong assignment na binigay sa akin ni Secmon, promoting e-commerce. So the timing was perfect and then nagkaroon ng COVID. So, yun, buti na lang that the Secretary of Trade SecMon wanted really us to focus on e-commerce, defining what it's all. So, ang dami naming naintindi, or madami pang hindi naintindihan, no? But as to your question, when we first came aboard this, the first thing that I asked was, ano ba yung e-commerce, di ba? Siyempre, di ba? Ano ba yung e-commerce?
Yes.
Walang definition. And not walang definition, but rather there are many, many definitions of e-commerce. So even if you look at the E-Commerce Act of 2000, the law that was enacted 20 years ago, there really is no definition. However, over time, parang many people have different. So, it is buying and selling over the internet. There are many various definitions. So ngayon, with the Internet Transactions Act that has been that has passed the House of Representatives sa third reading, nasa Senate na ito kay Senator Coco. So the law is called the Proposed Internet Transactions Act, and it covers, when we say nga e-commerce, it covers basically internet retail. Okay, so internet retail is when you buy and sell goods and services. Ayan. So the ones that you see, and maybe if you need a carpenter, di ba? Ayan. So goods and services, internet retail. There's also online travel. So kunyari if you want to book at Airbnb, di ba? So that's part of e-commerce. And then if you look at ride hailing, so delivery, delivery, yan. So ito syempre one of your digital financial services. Right? So digital financial services. So that's basically e-commerce and digital media. So 5 siya. The internet retail, digital media, online travel, ride hailing, and digital financial services. So all of these are covered under e-commerce, meaning to say, you can buy and sell them online. So that's basically the entire scope
Universe.
of e-commerce. Yeah, the universe of e-commerce.
Okay. So, you mentioned first of all, which is the most commonly used, the internet retail. Kasi pwede kang mag-order. Ako naghanap ako ng karpentero online.
Yeah.
Pero syempre kasi kung karpentero siya, kailangan ba niya mag-register ng kanyang service?
Okay. I would like to echo na lang what our good secretary said, no? When he was our first guest dito sa
Yes,
Trade Time. Yeah, so I will echo and repeat what he said, no? First of all, we understand that there is really that's an informal economy. Ang sabi nga niya, 7 million eh. Diba? So there are many out there who are not registered. And there are many out there, he said, we understand that because it's like an incubation. You really want to your business, eh, diba? You want to check, is this the right business, and is this the model, no? Ganyan. So parang nagsa-start ka. So naintindihan ng DTI na that happens, right? Ngayon, pero ito yung important. If you are going into business, you need to register. Why? Because if you want your business to grow, no? Kung gusto niyo talagang lumaki ang inyong business, talagang kailangan niyo talagang magrehistro. Kasi pag rehistrado kayo, una, syempre kinikilala kayo, right? Tapos yung inyong mga suppliers. So, yan. Pangatlo, nagbibigay kayo ng resibo, di ba? Tapos yung inyong mga, whether it's customer or yung inyong supplier, legit kayo na nag-ooperate. At higit pa sa lahat, meron pang maganda, marami kasing nangyayari na maraming pakinabang pag rehistrado ka. Una, pwede kang umutang. Kung informal, you have to informal sources. Kunyari, you can actually borrow from government agencies, 'di ba? And at very low. So yung gano'n na there are a lot sa banks, 'di ba? Gano'n. So there are really many 1,000 reasons why we are encouraging people to go online, to register even if you're an online kasi sabi nila online maliit lang, home based ganyan. So kailangan tayong mag-register kasi isa pa Rach, sabi kasi 'di ba? You are a consumer. Siyempre, yung isa, para ka maging businessman, so kailangan mag-register. Pero meron din reason bakit gusto natin mag-advocate ng registration. Kasi yung consumer, di ba? So ikaw, nagbumili ka,
tas hindi mo nakuha, hindi mo natanggap, substandard, it's not what you intended. So, ano ka ngayon? You need some degree of redress. So, hanapin ni DTI yan. Kung hindi ka rehistrado, hindi ka na rin makikita. So those are the on the good side, you have from the business side and from the consumer side, these are the reasons why businesses need to be registered.
Yeah, so it's really for the benefit of both parties kasi nale-legitimize yung negosyo mo na ikaw
Yes.
ay reliable source of service kahit
Right.
carpentry man. Now,
Right.
paano ba madidescribe yung ating e-commerce status dito sa Pilipinas? Kasi syempre, microscopically, makikita natin na, ang dami-daming nagnegosyo dito sa internet nung nag-pandemic. But can we truly say? Kasi ano pa to, e-commerce act natin was 2000 eh. And how was that? How was it faring through the years up until na mag-pandemic?
Yeah. I would like to go with the recent at saka these are statistics based on the DTI, no? So talagang it's right up our alley, so to speak.
Yeah.
What is the greatest barometer that we believe really we can see and report the impact of e-commerce, no? So DTI is the agency in charge of business name registration. So, before the pandemic, in the last year, no, siguro in the beginning of the year, no, Miss Rachel, alam mo ano kami yung dahil sa ating ease of doing business, ginawa namin yung aming business name registration, in-automate, in-improve namin, ginawa namin talagang end-to-end registration, tapos nilagyan namin ng mga bells and whistles. So, yung isang bells and whistle doon, we are able to track the businesses of the type of businesses that we have, right? So one of the business that thank God for this PSIC, ito yung Philippine Standard Industrial Classification. So meron doon ang pangalan ng business, retail sale via the internet. Yan. So dun sa industry classification na yon, alam mo, from basically it started about mga 1,000, less than 2,000 from first for the first months of last year. Alam mo, in end of the year, we have about 90,000.
Oh, wow.
Yes, on this particular, it's called PSIC 47913 or retail sale via the internet. Meaning to say, maraming nag-register na mga business relative to internet retail, di ba? To selling online. So, ang dami no, na-imagine mo, that's basically 4,500% increase. 45 times more, from in the beginning. So that goes to show how many people really went into internet retail during the pandemic. No? So that's quite huge. Ngayon, that one aspect of that is good, no? A lot of people are getting into that business. But there's also another downside to it because we naman, I think we've more than 12,000, I hope my memory serves me right, of complaints. So there are a lot of consumer complaints relative din naman that natanggap naman ang aming consumer protection. So really, the statistics will tell us really that more and more people are getting into e-commerce.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. You were very transparent that there are complaints that it's as much as 12,000,
Yeah.
which is a good number if you're going to think of it in percentage. It's more than 10%, siguro mga 12% of the 90,000 registered sa online, sa PSIC. So, yung PSIC ba, last year lang talaga yan, nag-start?
Unfortunately, we cannot do a comparison because it was only last year that we really redeveloped and redesigned their system so that government will be able to come up with policies and programs that are that are based there's scientific basis for all of our actions. So kaya namin talaga tinitingnan so saan ba talaga madami nagnenegosyo yung mga tao.
But that is very good because you're starting to have metrics. Because before, I was always wondering, we keep saying na 99.6% are in the MSME category because based on the registration that TTI gets. And yet, how are these maturing? Paano ba sila na nagiging small business ba sila eventually? Wala tayong masyadong metrics. But now, you actually have a data-driven, you've started something
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
very nice. So thank you very much. Ang galing. And that's what we're
Oo.
saying. Parang, all of the people kasi always have ideas. Why doesn't DTI do this or that? Parang they are doing it, except that we have to know it or it's just in the pipeline. So another thing is, since you mentioned na 90,000 have already registered because they're doing their sales online, retail sales online. One of the goals in amending the E-Commerce Act ng 2000, nakasaad doon na for the domestic sellers natin, kasi we have good products, to have access to global economy. Are we doing cross-border transactions already for the small businesses?
Mhm. So the beauty about e-commerce is that you're able to reach your buyers, no, even if it's not locally, no, in the domestic front, but elsewhere, no. So the e-commerce roadmap, no, that we actually have now is really that's one of the strategies, no, to increase cross-border e-commerce transactions. Ganito lang siya kasi the local market is already huge by itself, no? So talagang dito pa lang sa atin sa Pilipinas, kung ikaw ay seller, marami ka ng market dito pa lang sa within the borders. But we're saying that there there's so much more out there, no, outside our borders, no, even in ASEAN alone, the market, no, the market of ASEAN, plus all our trading partners. So in the e-commerce roadmap 2022, that's one of the things that we are working on, so that we will be able to make our of course our producers, no, also more competitive, no. Yung syempre when you sell outside, sometimes the standards, no, are much more much more higher, no. And 'di ba kunyari if you're into food, so dapat yung ating labeling requirements and all the
Yeah.
passes through certain standards. So it's the same as the mainstream or the regular exports, but still, because it is e-commerce, it's much more easier to penetrate, quote unquote, those markets. But we need to make sure that our SMEs, our sellers are competitive, no, in all areas, whether it's in price, whether it's in quality of the product, in the standards of the product.
Yes. So thank you for monitoring that. And in terms of monitoring, I believe there's something that happened that you observed, DT observed, kaya nagkaroon ng need to amend the E-Commerce Act of 2000. And what are the things that you observe na kailangan ma-strengthen? Usually kasi yun naman yung rason ng amendment eh.
Ah, okay, Miss Rach, siguro I'd like to sort of medyo how do I say it? Medyo I'll try to make a little bit more of a kwento, parang ganun.
Okay, great.
So there is the law, no? It's called the E-Commerce Act of 2000. That is basically, if you read the title of that law, it's about parang electronic transactions, 'di ba? Electronic transactions. So kinikilala na ng bansa yung electronic transactions. So nandiyan yung mga digital signatures and all that. So there is an effort to by the way, no, in that law, there is also dun kaya nabuhay yung DTI kasi nakalagay doon na babantayan ni DTI itong e-commerce transactions natin dito sa bansa. So ngayon, there is a move in Congress now. In fact, just the other day, no, we were invited by the Senate to comment or to discuss the law amending the E-Commerce Act. No, so basically we support that bill filed by Senator Amy Marcos. Because it talks about the need for us to, alam mo ito yung work natin sa ease of doing business, yung sa digital signatures, di ba, yung notarization and all of that. Yun. So that one is being tackled in the upper house. Ngayon, yung magandang development that actually I think you might be referring to is what we call the Internet Transactions Act. It's
Yeah.
actually a new bill. It's a new bill that was mentioned by the president. Essentially, maganda talaga because it is about the e-commerce, no?
Yeah.
About the way, if you look at the title of the bill, it's about it's consumer and merchant protection on internet transactions. We're using internet transactions so that it covers the entire scope of e-commerce, no? Ngayon, yung particular ano na yan na sinabi nga ni Presidente, sinight niya na kailangan magkaroon tayo ng batas dito sa Pilipinas na nagpo-promote ng e-commerce. Tapos, pinoprotect din yung consumers. Yun yung bill na yan. So, the Internet Transactions Act really is able to protect the consumers kasi it provides that number one, yung mga companies no na nagpo-provide ng e-commerce should be able to register. No, if not register in the registration, they could if you are you can notify the government that you are indeed in that business. Ayan, so that's one. Number two, of course, it creates an e-commerce bureau. Ayan na, syempre, on our part, talagang gustong-gusto namin to. Kasi yung e-commerce bureau, it gives alam mo naman, you've worked with government many, and you really want someone to talk to, right?
Yes.
Someone to talk to, someone to take charge na, we breathe, eat, and think e-commerce, no? So, nakatutok tayo dyan.
Yeah.
But, the batas is also very clear that the e-commerce bureau or the DTI for that matter, hindi siya yung lahat-lahat, no? Hindi ganun hindi yung na siya na lahat, hindi. Ang sinasabi niya, siya yung bringing the entire government together. So, for example, if it's about digital financial services, syempre, Bangko Sentral, di ba?
Ganun.
Oo. Right, oo. Kunyari, it is problem about fakes. Intellectual property, di ba? Office of the Philippines, si DG Ruel yun. So, if kunyari, for example, it is a violation of your data privacy, we have a Data Privacy Act, and that is, of course, the National Privacy Commission. And then there's also, you ask about, for example, yung sabi namin, yung speed, no? That's one, is the infrastructure. Siyempre naman, Department of ICT yon, DICT. So, merong taxation, BIR. So, ang gagawin lang ni e-commerce, parang making sure that all the wheels are turning, di ba? Everyone's, we're all moving like clockwork. Yon.
Yes.
So yon, those are that. Madami pa yung sa batas, merong pang trust mark. Kasi sabi ng gobyerno, sabi ng bill, let private sector, no? The private sector is dynamic. So, let's come up with a trust mark so that when you buy, you go to a website, you see the trust mark, that means government and so may ganun din. Ang dami, no? Very, very many provisions in the law that are really for the benefit of consumers. And that's what we want. We want to build trust. Kasi some of us, we don't want to buy online. Bakit? Kasi natakot tayo Diba? Takot tayo.
Oo, kasi nga, for that very reason na you're not face-to-face with anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just everything so virtual. But now I have a better understanding na magkakaroon ng e-commerce bureau, and that is wonderful, which will serve as a conduit pag sila yung mag-filter na, ang problema mo is the digital payment. So, there's a particular person in BSP who's going to take care of this.
Yes,
Parang hindi siya nawawala sa universe. Parang
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like what we're doing. Yeah, it's like what DTI has been doing, diba? DTI is a facilitative. If you look at the mandate of DTI, we are the primary facilitative coordinative body. But of course, we will not diminish the term coordinative because that's really where the key is, right? Being able to facilitate, working side by side with our other fellow government agencies.
Yeah, so that's good. And so basically you're still letting it grow by itself, except na parang you're in the sidelines to make sure that everything is in order. If not, something is not in order, something gets a complaint, there's a particular e-commerce bureau
Right.
or
Right. Oo.
section. In fact, meron nga tayong may gustong magtanong. Papasukin natin siya at gustong magtanong sa DTI. Ang pangalan niya, this is one of our business colleagues na founder ng Talk Shop Asia. This is Rolly Pagaspas who has a question. Tingnan nga natin because DTI naman walang wrong door policy.
Yeah.
I picked that up from your show. See, talaga nanonood.
I hope I'll be able to answer.
Yes, it's something e-commerce. So Rolly, please come in. So let's see if Rolly can answer. I can.
Can ask. Hi,
Yeah.
Jean.
Hi, Sir Rolly.
Yeah, basically, Rachel and I were together, being in the retail industry for so long now, time, no, and being here in the industry for about, should I say, Rachel, 30 years or more.
Yes, 30 years.
Oh, so we're handling brands, and well, because of the pandemic, the brands were forced to really pivot digitally and transform. But the way I see it, ang dami pang naging mga groups na nag-emerge, no? So we now have the direct sellers. These are manufacturers who are selling directly their products online. There are community sellers and resellers. Ito yung para mga dealers. And then may mga online sellers na dati sila took advantage of the early adopters sila of the Lazada and Shopee. We were still waiting for the biggest retailers to really do it magically, to be a lead in the e-commerce. What do you think is the problem, and does this problem affect the turnover of the retail sector in terms of being an economic thing? And what is the take of DTI for this problem?
Ako, that's a huge question, Sir Rolly. Very huge question. So,
Yeah, kasi alam mo yun ang problema. We are all waiting because these are the big brothers who ought to be. Siyempre sila, pag malaki benta nila, pagbigay silang trabaho, and then maraming consumer na makikinabang dahil magaganda produkto nila. But it seems that there's a gap between the emerging groups and them as the former leaders.
okay. So, ganito, I hope that you will find my answer to your liking. So, so here's what I can say. Of course, we follow the e-commerce roadmap. In that roadmap, it's very clear that we've identified the ecosystem. So in the case of the ecosystem in e-commerce, you'll see that there is what we call the marketplace, and then there's also the online retailers, right? So many of the online the direct sellers, the resellers, they usually go to the marketplaces. So in other words, you can see that there will be strategies, activities, actions that need to be done to promote that. In fact, there's a strategy for onboarding. Kasi madali eh. It's basta e-commerce madali. So we are encouraging literally people who want to go into online business to do omni-channels, right? So whether you have a brick and mortar, you can be seen in Facebook, or you can be reached if the customer has a Facebook account, an Instagram, you want that particular kind of a strategy. So we want our sellers to adapt that to learn that omni channel. Now there's also this thing about the retailers, no, the big ones, as you aptly put it. So in fact, we're very happy when we did the launching of the e-commerce roadmap. We really invited the Philippine Retailers Association and the Philippine Chamber of Commerce in the industry. Why? Because we already have ongoing projects with them, because the adoption of e-commerce, even for the retailers, the franchises, need a little bit of a transition. So, in fact, let me tell you something, just to put a little bit of a, parang meron lang tayong flavor. Yung digitizing merchant payment, issue yan, di ba? If you are into e-commerce, you have a brick and mortar, right? You have a brick and mortar, you have a pwesto in the mall. Di ba, you buy? Don't you sometimes see na you give your credit card? Okay, akala mo naman end-to-end na yun kasi wow, she swipe na lang yung credit. Sometimes do you see the kahera nagno-note sa kanyang logbook?
Yeah, ano yun?
Diba? Ibig sabihin hindi sila connected yung system. Diba? Dapat yun, na-connect na nung system ng accounting system nung company, diba? Na ano, diba? You know what I mean? Kasi hindi fully end-to-end ang payment system natin.
I think that's a case by the owner of the brand. They don't make dugtong the back end to the front end because there's security.
Yan. Diba, sir? So, we found that out. No? Why? Because the leadership, that's our secretary, si Secmon, and also the leadership of the Philippine Retailers Association. Hello, Miss Bing Limuco. You know, because of the pandemic, they were really in one with the shared vision of a cashless transaction. Diba? In other countries, that's already, you know, if it's e-commerce, really payment is integral. Payment, logistics, the platform, they form. So we are all, this is the role of your e-commerce bureau, in this case, the DTI is doing. We're putting everything together. So that's one. We're working very closely with the Bangko Central on digitizing merchant payments. So that's one. And then that's one aspect, which is a huge aspect. And I believe that the retailers, the big ones, are really getting to that. So yun. I won't announce na muna, but there are many, we've seen, you know, like the other day, again, we have, I won't na say muna who, but we're working on a project because the big retailers, they're now saying, they were like, oh, we have like, you know, we have, you know, our retailers in our malls, in like, things like that, no? And then we want them all to be all in this, no? So it needs a little bit of an action so that everyone can be pulled together. Yun. And then meron pa yung, I was going to say pa, yung aside from the digitizing merchant payments, yung tungkol dun sa atin, yung sinasabi kong work with the Philippine Retailers Association and the others is yung including this one in the roadmap, which is increasing our B2B. Because sir, yung e-commerce natin, the one definition of an e-commerce is only B2C. Pero sir, malaki yung B2B natin.
Exactly.
So kunyari kung
because
business.
supply chain oo.
Yes. So imagine mo, if you are a company and you need to source your raw or your material, you can buy it from another retail or another wholesale or another company for that matter. So we want all of these big companies to really go into that. So yun sir, no, we're very very happy that the private sector really, I believe, they have seen that the COVID, for whatever it's worth, brought the increase in the adoption of e-commerce.
Well, in the last note that you have mentioned, actually, one of our program partners has already launched a platform of B2B with a fintech as an inclusion. So if you don't, kung baka halimbawa, wala kang idea, then that platform can give you an idea on what products you may want to resell on a retail mode, on a storefront end mode, and then the suppliers are at your back mode.
Nice. Baka we can work together offline.
Oo nga. Yeah, sige, I'll reach out to you. And of course, may isa pa akong question sa'yo. All vectors point to a cashless society. What are the undertakings of DTI in preparation for this?
Okay. Naku, ang dami-dami kong kwento, sir. So, Rachel.
Rachel.
We need to hear that. Kasi na para malaman ng ating mga kababayan.
Kasi, you know, our audience are the really retailers and stakeholders. So they want to ask.
That's our network. But can I just mixing it na si Boy Lopez from New Jersey is watching. Hello, Boy. And of course, si Nathan De Leon, another business person.
All right.
Hello. So,
malamig.
Malamig, oo. Para malaman nila na hanggang may ginagawa tayo. At Madam Jean, si Val Blanca is watching. Is the
oh my God, yes! Please, let's pass the internet transaction. Napakasipag yan. So, salamat, Val. Val Blanca, saludo.
Yeah. Hi, Val.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
let me, so
Okay.
the thing about cashless, okay? We did the survey. Because of the e-commerce roadmap, as I said, we want to have it a little bit of a basis, diba? When all the projects, that we develop in DTI, there must be, it is based on something more, on facts. So we did the survey. We asked SMEs, but only limited lang in where the e-commerce enterprises are, which are in NCR, Region 3, Region 4A. So we did the survey, and then we asked them, are you aware? Are you aware of digital payments? Do you know that half of them, the question is, are you aware of e-wallets? Do you know that half of them said that they're not?
Oh,
Half of
really?
them, they said they don't know an e-wallet. Pero, nung naging aided, kasi di ba yung survey may aided din, pinakita nila, ayan na yung GCash, may payment. Alam na nila! Nung
Alam
nakita
na
na nila, alam na nila, yung GCash, may paymaya. Pero tinanong namin, sa lahat ng mga aware,
Mm.
gumagamit ba kayo? Sa lahat ng mga aware, gumagamit ba kayo ng e-wallets?
Mm.
So, alam mo sir, lumalabas, 74% of those who are aware are not using e-payments for business. 40% of those who are aware are also not using for personal. Meaning to say, mas malaki talaga ang hindi gumagamit for business. May konti din, pero marami rin hindi gumagamit din for personal. So what does that mean? That we need to embark on a huge campaign for financial inclusion, which is the favorite of Gay Santos and Rachel. So, we need to do a massive campaign so that people will have an increased adoption of payments. Alam mo sir, dito sa e-commerce roadmap ng 2022, we revisited our goals from the last time. Ngayon, we are now looking at the UNCTAD B2C index where where a country is measured in terms of whether the country has an account, no, whether it is a bank account or whether you have a mobile wallet. So we need to increase that so that our ranking will go higher. But more than that, we really must have. So that's I call it parang ito yung pinaka low hanging na dapat gawin. Pero low hanging siya, pero massive siya na ang tingin ko napakalaking impact. Impact.
Yeah, we can share with you because in the other handles that we have is esports. We also have the same challenge of acquiring users of an e-wallet because the ecosystem of esports includes pop culture and then merchandising and the activation of the brand partners. So that we are also in that challenge of acquiring and having them activated if ever they will decide to join. So
Diba,
we can share
sir?
our experience with you. Yeah.
Yes, we all need to work on this. Kasi after all, diba, I mean, government, we don't have as much resources. But if the private sector will be, and kami lang, we provide the environment and we strive, we drive. Yun po yung role ng e-commerce bureau eh. We drive, we initiate, we become parang, we just not go monitor lang, ganyan, but really be forward-looking.
Infra and development. But for the development, we shall be with you. But I think I will not ask questions anymore. Ang haba na ng tanong ko. This is not my show. Show to Rachel B.
I hope I was able to answer.
We'll reach out to you so that we can have more sharing.
Nice.
Okay, I
sir.
have to leave because this is the show of Rachel. Bye-bye.
Salamat, sir.
Thank you, Rolly. He's the founder of Talk Shop Asia. He's in other spheres of business, and he mentioned esports. So, something that piqued my curiosity was, of course, yung payment, kay BSP na yan. And then there's also the logistics parts of e-commerce. What is going on there na tinutulungan ng DTI?
So, ang swerte, I don't know if that's the right term. but I was saying na parang feeling ko, parang swerte ko din na yung when Secmon assigned the portfolio of e-commerce, he also assigned to me the portfolio of the logistics and supply chain.
Okay.
So that's the focus of the secretary, logistics. So that's what sabi ko nga, swerte kasi tinututukan yan, ha? Sabi nga ni Secmon, sabi niya, ang marching order niya sa logistics, reduce logistics cost. Yan ang ano niya, marching order. Ang marching order niya sa e-commerce, build trust between buyers and sellers. So you're asking, anong ginagawa sa logistics? So that's the first thing that we've done. In 2018, when Secmon really saw the importance of logistics, one of the things that we did was really to rally together the members of the industry. That's actually the thing that we do. No, it's like in DTI, kasama na sa DNA natin yon, no, 'di ba, ng DTI, kasama na sa DNA namin yung working with private sector. So, yun, ganun lagi yung parang secret kasi yung private sector naman talaga yung driver ng ng growth ng industriya. So when we met with them, we came up with what we call the Logistics Services Philippines. So all of the logistics sector are there, no? From the customs broker, freight forwarders, the trackers, the shipping lines, local, domestic shipping lines, international shipping lines, warehouses, and all. Lahat sila, they're all in this, no? In this logistics services to make it more efficient. Okay. Having said that, when it came to e-commerce, if you look at the ecosystem, part of the parang pinaka-direct na priority or directly related talaga na the loudest, the most important is the last mile. Diba? Last mile delivery services. So you have here the likes of QuadX, Lalamove, Grab, Mr. Sp, LBC, and all of that. So, all of that, ito yung mga kausap namin at tinatanong namin, sige, ano bang problema? What needs to be done? So, yan. So, what have we identified? What's the latest out there? The one of the things that we are proud that we will be embarking on, we have started already kind of the talks and all, but now's the time for action, is Philippine Postal Corporation. Diba? The Philippine Postal Corporation is the largest, most pinakamaraming infrastructure yan na marireach mo yung pinakadulong-dulo ng Pilipinas. We are an archipelago, di ba, Rach? So, imagine mo na kung ikaw ay nag-online buying ka, minsan hindi mo matanggap kasi nasa kaduluduluhan ka ng bundok, di ba? Pero sino ang nandoon? Andon ang postal service, di ba? So, yan yung isa natin na gusto natin na we are working very closely, and the Philippine Postal has really been fantastic in its also drive to help this growth in e-commerce. So yan, we are working with them. So that's one. Number two, marami sa mga last mile delivery service ang gustong magawa ng paraan yung ease of doing business. Okay. Yan, so yung lisensya, no? Pati yung mga issues sa drivers, no? Yung policy directions towards that. Number three, nandyan din yung issue about protection. 'Di ba? Alam mo yung kwento na may isang nagtawag lahat ng mga drivers.
Pinadala niya. Sa bahay. Yes.
Oo, 'di ba? I mean, those are the things that who pays for that? Diba? Meron pang isa yung maraming mga drivers hindi we've had may complaints that they get so harassed, 'di ba, by some of the so we needed some protection for them, and then you can see that in the proposed internet transactions bill, the act.
And then, di ba Senator Zubiri is also proposing that these drivers of the last mile delivery be protected because sila yung nag-aabono daw.
Yes.
So
I hope. We discussed that in the recent hearing of the Senate chaired by Senator Coco. I believe Senator Lapid presented also. He filed the bill related to that. So there are many things, but the biggest point that I have na pwede kong dapat sabihin ganito. Marami po sa ating mga online sellers, o kaya kahit na hindi online, basta marami sa ating SMEs, na yung logistics requirements nyo, minsan, parang pinoproblema niya, kunyari, kailangan kong bumili ng truck, o kailangan kong, yung lahat problema ng kumpanya ko. Ito lang po yung sinasabi namin, na subukan po ninyong aralin yung, imbis na problemahin po ninyo yung logistics requirements ninyo, paggawa ho ninyo sa mga professionals na yun ang trabaho nila. Kasi malaki, napakadami po ng mga logistics services natin na mas efficient sila. So, imbes na kayo ay bubili ng sarili niyong truck, tapos kayo pa yung magpapalisensya nun, magme-maintain pa kayo ng tracking ninyo, yung driver, yung lahat ng yon. Pati po yung halimbawa, yung magpa-packing kayo, ganyan, minsan may magwa-warehouse. Pati hindi po tayo tumingin ng mga businesses na yan po ang business. Tapos yun minsan sinasabi nila, mahal-mahal. Minsan po hindi naman talaga. Baka mas mahal pag kayo pa ang gumawa noon. Na meron kayong sarili, bibigyan kayo ng malaking-malaking lugar nyo, kayo magbabayad ng rental ninyo. So, yun yung sinasabi natin na nandyan po yung mga logistic service providers natin na yan po yung trabaho nila. At ang importante makapag-negotiate tayo ng tamang halaga. Dapat alam ng business po ninyo yon dahil for whatever it's worth, baka mas mura pa sila kesa yung kayo pa ang gumawa nito.
Yes, and mas efficient. Because,
Mas efficient.
I was also an entrep for so many years. Ang entrep kasi tries wear so many hats na kasi nga sa pagtitipid, ikaw na yung marketing, ikaw pa yung salesperson, ikaw pa yung gagawa ng sarili mong produkto. So it's really hard. So, but it's true that you can job it out.
Right.
In fact, in the States nga, parang ngayon nga nakikita ko na ginagawa na dito yung mga messengers or the food panda guys nakabisikleta because it's a cycling distance. Kunyari, one kanto to another. And it's so easy. So you're very right.
Yeah.
And, yes.
Tsaka yung nung after the pandemic, we came out with what we call the reboot program. Kaya nung una, last year, in 2019, ang priority namin was to come up with the new roadmap. But when the pandemic came, we kind of regrouped and we focused on capacity building for SME. So we came out with what we call a reboot program. Yun sa reboot program is to help people adjust from their offline to online, di ba? Kasi pandemic, quarantine eh. So, alam mo, yung Rach, ang nangyari dun sa reboot program, kinausap namin yung mga logistics companies and to offer discounts, lower rates, and they heeded our call. And I believe they are still, these are our rebooters. I hope that you go to our site, ecommerce.dti.gov.ph. You'll see the sites of our rebooters there. And then you can really, I talk to them. There's SquadX, there's FedEx, nandyan po si Grab, nandyan si Lalamove, and all of that, they can certainly help your business.
Yes, and kailangan natin silang lahat to work together. As you said, government is just there to drive and to guide and to gather everybody kasi ang lofty ng goals ng e-commerce act. Kailan ba natin mapapasa to? 2021?
No, the road, the Internet Transactions Act. Naku, sana this year, sana in this Congress.
Yes.
I hope, we seek the support, of course, of it's in the Senate. So if the Senate will approve it, and I hope that this Congress, the 18th Congress, will enact it so that the president, because the president mentioned it in his SONA. So, so alam namin na maraming matutulong talaga to sa ating bayan kasi magiging more mindful tayo about being an online seller. It will help promote e-commerce growth through the bureau. It will make the private sector self-regulate itself, parang ganun.
Right. And lofty nung goal. Is it true na 25%, it plans to give 25% contribution to the GDP?
Ay nako, Miss Rachel, the 25% of the GDP is the 2016 roadmap. But we,
Okay.
that's in the 2016 roadmap. So we now revisited these goals. And then in the e-commerce 2022, we kind of corrected it, no? Kasi syempre, during the time, imagine mo, that was 2016.
Yes.
20, ang dami nang nangyari, tsaka marami
Yes.
na tayong sources of data. So according to our economists, actually, the target for 2022 would be 5.5% of
Yes.
GDP.
Nakita ko rin yun. 5.5 or 25%. Kasi kung 25, that's almost like the agriculture is 29%.
Sobra,
Oo, so parang wow. So what are
Oo.
we? Are we an agricultural country or an e-commerce country? But
So
yes,
we had to revisit that one.
yes, 5%. And that was, you know what I love about it? You're just so spontaneous and you can really answer even questions so broad, like what and you were even able to share some anecdotes, some stories on how this is developing. So please, people, watch her show. Actually, it's DTI show, ho, talaga. It's every Friday at YouTube channel. Merong Tara, Trade Tayo, and it's so informative while you're driving sa traffic, bumabalik na ang traffic, or ako kasi while I'm doing my chores, preparing for dinner, ay nakikinig ako because it's to our advantage to know what is happening instead of just griping and ranting. People in government, as I've always said, people in government na nakikilala ko are brilliant. They're very energetic, and this is one perfect example again. So, Miss Jean, thank you very much for sharing your time on a Saturday. And good
Yeah.
luck on this. Sana nga, wag tamaan ng eleksyon. Election will be next year na eh. So,
With your help.
we have to keep promoting, and that's the key yung ma-promote natin to all our LGUs to support this and to bring it to the house, whether it's the upper
Yeah.
house, that is the Senate, or the lower house, which is the House of Representatives, to please
Yeah.
push it na ma-approve na, kasi kailangan
Yeah.
natin yan talaga. All right, and with that, we'd like to close. So thank you very much to all who participated. Val Palanca said it's a very interesting, good discussion about the international trade agreements you touched on even. Thank you, Asik
Thank
Jean.
you. Thank you. Basta, ang gusto ko lang sa paalala ng mga tao, yung aming tagline, na basta e-commerce, madali.
Madali. Oo, madali naman talaga. And maraming salamat to Mika and to Joy also, who's the team behind making everything happen na magawa lahat ni Miss Jean ang kanyang kailangan gawin sa dami-dami. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Next week again, Kaunlaran at Pagbabago para sa inyo, and we'll talk about one component of e-commerce, which is payments. Have a good weekend. Bye. Thanks, Miss Jean. So thankful.
Thank you.
Bye!
Ano na nga ba ang nangyayari sa Pinas? May pagbabago ba? Umuunlad ba tayo? Kausapin natin ang iba't ibang namumuno sa mga lokal na pamahalaan at national agencies na sumusuporta sa mga proyekto para sa kaunlaran. Liputin natin ang iba't ibang lugar sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao para malaman ang mga pagbabago at mga bagong destinasyon. Kilalanin kung sino-sino ang mga nasa LGU. Ano ba ang impact ng LGU sa araw-araw nating pamumuhay? Learn more about your city dito sa KPI, Kaunlaran at Pagbabago para sa inyo. Samahan si Rachele Bonus tuwing Sabado, 1:00 ng hapon, Philippine Time. KPI, Kaunlaran at Pagbabago para sa inyo. Dito lang yan para sa inyo sa V81 Radio Worldwide. Naghahatid saya sa mga Pinoy, mga kanta at programang Tatak Pinoy. Napapanood at napapakinggan kahit saan ka man. Streaming worldwide. This is V81 Radio.
Malayo ka man sa iyong pamilya, dito ay hindi ka nag-iisa. Tiyak ito'y iyong hahanap-hanapin, dahil ito ang nagpapasaya sa atin.